And I will read our usual updates here to make sure that everybody understands them. In an effort to make meetings more effective and efficient, the select board has made a change to the public comment portion of the meeting. Citizens or others wishing to address the select board during a meeting may do so during the public comment portion of the meeting. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. All speakers will be heard before people are given a second opportunity to speak. Once public comment portion of the meeting is over, the public will be able to speak if the chair determines their input is needed during another portion of the meeting. For participants on Zoom, if you have a question, please raise your hand. Use only the Zoom chat for technical issues such as room audio, or you can't raise your hands or things of that nature. Don't comment or question in the chat as it's distracting for all. This intent is not to stifle community input, but rather to allow the select board to be more effective and efficient in our work. People are welcome to always email members of the board at any time with feedback or questions. And so as it is, since we have started, the public, we start with public to be heard, and so that people to hear that wish to say something that is not on the agenda.
So it's 2 minutes,
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Before he starts, just have a seat. Just a technical, since we just read that, and we're asking people to refrain comment throughout the meeting, I wonder if we should change the public to be heard and not include the for only, you know what I mean? Normally, we would say, you can comment on, you know what I mean? So
I'm gonna be bad, and I do let people talk during, if it's
That's true.
pertinent.
Okay.
Well, but let's make a rule that we can follow rather than having a rule that we know we're gonna break.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, all right.
Good one, you guys.
Anyway, sorry, just a
But
point of
anyway,
clarification.
I like the public to hear is typically always stuff that's not on the agenda, even in the RBCs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But with Underhill, they do have comment after after the select board has talked.
Yeah,
And that's where you could ask questions about what we talked
what
about.
was talked about. Okay,
So we could do that.
okay.
But-
It's been going well. I just
We also haven't had any,
contentious stuff.
right, and people haven't showed up, people who will talk
Yeah.
for a long time.
Yeah, we will eventually get some.
But now Chuck's here, so
Chuck's here.
Go ahead, Chuck.
now we can test the system.
All right, Chuck.
But even Chuck is vociferous, but not long-winded.
Everything I'm saying is important. Chuck Lacey, Browns Trace, Jericho Center, 25 miles an hour.
Thank you.
So, your town plan passed in January was clear in terms of housing being a priority, and the town plan was very clear that wastewater was, critical to the strategy that the select board has in terms of how it wants to approach zoning. I've been attending the meetings, which are ably hosted and led by Paula here, who's done a fine job in a circumstance she didn't expect. But my impression is that the consultant is taking quite a technical approach, but does not have clear objectives from the town or an opportunity to develop strategy with the town. The planning commission has been excluded from it. He started his work a year and a half before you approved the town plan. His work plan talks about strategy sessions with the select board. When I ask, can I get a copy of the specific objectives, I get a feeling that there isn't one. His work, Jericho Center projected a population increase of 15 people over the next 20 years. 21 people for Riverside, 44 people for Jericho Corners. There just wasn't a sense of, our town ambitions are wrapped up in what we're going to learn from this study. And my impression was he's looking to complete a study that meets the needs of the state in terms of he can get paid. But some of the real strategy questions are kind of left, he's kind of flailing around. For example, to increase housing in Jericho Center, are we looking at water or wastewater? We really need to look strategically at what infrastructure is going to get us what we need in each of the places. And our ambition needs to be, really kind of fully understood. In terms of strategy, there really isn't an effort to figure out where it is, we're gonna get a bunch of wastewater customers right at the beginning. And how do we work on that timing? Shouldn't we be really looking to include neighborhoods that might be outside the rigid boundaries of a zoning area that has a big need, say, for example, including the foothills, which has 75 houses that are 50 years old. It's like, shouldn't they be, kind of included in the study? Is this going to be a district system, or is this going to be a municipal system? Has big implications for the kind of system that we're going to choose. Water is something that would be much easier to manage, I presume, than wastewater. So, I mean, why aren't we, he just seems like he's kind of out there drifting in the wind, made major changes, kind of along just the last couple meetings, but it was kind of to basic stuff. And I feel like we're 60% of the way through. If I was to ask, I have asked, like, what is the core strategy of what we're trying to do, other than meeting the needs of what the state wants in terms of, in terms of report. So
Well, I'll answer.
Can I ask a question before you answer that?
I believe if I'm burning up my 3 minutes,
You
my,
have.
my suggestion is that either all of you or one of you really takes charge of kind of the strategy piece and make sure that we get, a study that we want. You are committed to taking action within 90 days after the completion of the report. So that's in the housing resolution. So you need to, I think, dig in on the strategy side. I have another comment about something else, but I'll be happy to pause for you, Catherine.
All right. You're right. Some of the things you say are correct. And that's because the project did start before the town line, but it started after the planning commission and Catherine Sonic went to every village center and talked to people within that district about what their issues were.
What do you mean what their issues were?
Yeah, if somebody wanted to talk about wastewaters, or Matt went to everyone and talked about water.
Okay.
But it started with the planning commission. They went to every village center and just talked to people. And sometimes the select board.
About anything like you said, I want speeding to be dealt with, we need more sidewalks, or is it
No.
about wastewater and water specifically?
It was about everything because, people had concerns about stormwater,
Okay.
but mostly it ended up being about water or wastewater,
Okay.
things like that. Well, what happened is, we had, you're right, the state has a very prescriptive mechanism to do this. And it took a long time to get through the state process just to get it accepted. Because you have to, have to have, prove that you've advertised and what the ad was. And then, you have to have at least three engineering firms. And of course, by the time Catherine got through that, we were just coming out of COVID and all the engineering firms, so we didn't get 3, so we had to do it again. Finally, we still didn't get 3, but we had we ended up with one of the providers who suggested doing this. And because we also had the state come in and talk to us about what the Clean Water Revolving Fund was, what they could do, how they handled it. And I do talk more than 3 minutes, this is true. Come to think of it. But the whole point was the feasibility. We can't even begin to get money from the state, let alone for bonding or for grants or anything, without actually having to do this process first about feasibility.
Yes, I understand that. But what is it that we want to understand is feasible?
That's what they're doing. That's why it's only 60%. By the time they get 90%, they're going to tell you feasibility, what they recommend.
Okay, but the work plan includes clear objectives for the town. Could I have a copy of that?
What did you just hold up?
This is the work plan. This is the work plan that this fellow is working on. And one of the initial important parts on this is, what are the expectations and the objectives of the town? If I ask Jonathan, what are the objectives? He doesn't have an answer. If I ask Paula, what are the objectives? He doesn't have an answer. If I ask the planning commission, specifically, what are the objectives? They'll say, we're not involved, haven't been involved. It's like, if we spin out the housing resolution he's using a 20-year planning horizon. okay? I guess that's what the state wants them to do. Okay, well, what is our ambition? If we spin out the housing resolution to 4 times, we're talking about 600 more houses, which to me would be a minimum, okay? If you want 80% of the village centers, okay, we're talking about, 400 new units in Riverside, okay? He doesn't have no one has given him that kind of projection. So now he's looking for wastewater spaces. And he doesn't have guidance from the town on what our expectations are for over the next 20 years. And when Catherine went around and talked to people, what you hear is what they want for themselves, okay? Our town plan doesn't speak to what the town villages want for themselves. Our town plan speaks for what the whole town wants for the village centers. So our ambition for housing, I mean, your plan is to restrict 86% of Jericho for people that have money and put everybody else in this small area.
That is not just
And-
Jericho's, it's the state's. If you.
That is your plan, okay? I mean, the preponderance of dense housing in Jericho is not in the village centers and it never will be. But anyway, that is your plan. It's like your plan, your legacy is based on the effective, really communicating to this fellow and certainly to the planning commission and the rest of the town, what it is you're trying to accomplish with this.
So what I'm hearing is you're feeling that he's doing a study for the sake of doing a study and not doing a study for the sake of trying to achieve the town plan goals.
I feel like he doesn't have clear direction. And it's up to you to make sure he has that he is working on something that achieves the ambitions that you have expressed in the town plan. Okay. And I don't think that has happened. So the first draft, I mean, how can you, he's presenting a 60% draft with basically no increase in population. That's a long way to get under that misunderstanding.
Got
it. So somebody, Eric Glittman would be good at this. Somebody to be able to make sure, or one of you or all of you, but the full ambitions of the town plan, as you have committed to for the next 8 years, and as you envision being committed over the 20-year planning life that this fellow has. I assume your vision is even longer than that. So that and it comes down to strategy. Okay. Do we have the capacity to run 3 wastewater systems in 3 villages? Then that should be factored in. We should say,
So
oh,
that's exactly why when we talked to the state initially, we said, is this, when you get the study, something, we talked, because Jericho is very unique. That has 3 separate village centers as opposed to 1. That makes it a little more difficult. But we said, obviously, we cannot do this all at once. Can you space it out? He said, yes. That's designed, the way it's coming, the final product will be designed so that it can be done in phases. In fact, as you probably will all have we may end up doing phases within the.
so why have you not asked him to look at water for Jericho Center? Jericho,
He has.
no, when he presented at the 60%, he said, oh, maybe I could look at that.
What we
would-
have.
So he didn't, so there was no one who sat with him and
We have
said,
already looked at what, we were in the process of looking.
I understand that, but you want him to be able to give you a comparison between what water is going to get us and what wastewater is going to get us. And then you can be thinking about, okay, strategically, water is something that really doesn't require the management. And if we can get 75% of what we want and we can get it quicker,
Yes,
then let's lean into water. Okay, well, no one's had that conversation with him in terms of the strategy.
Because I know we've thought about that. We've talked about that.
Oh, you've thought about it, but it's like,
He doesn't.
I should be able to, at the last, the meeting last night, I said, okay, who is responsible for providing you, Jonathan, with the clear objectives for what the town wants to do and to get out of this study? And no one can tell me who that was. And at the end, maybe somebody said, well, I guess maybe the select board. Okay. That should be clear. It should be like, 3 paragraphs, one for each center.
Thank you.
The second thing is the staffing study should be long done by now, right? Is that something we can see?
But that's something, we haven't really talked about yet, that came and there was a change, because of the changes in personnel and stuff like that, we haven't really dealt with it.
So it was a 2-month job that started in October, so you've had it since the first of the
Yeah,
year.
we're just sitting on it right
No, we haven't had it since
now. No,
2 months from October.
No.
No.
Well, it was a 2-month project that started in October.
Well.
But I know it was given to us for the first time at my first meeting.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. So it's been
Yeah.
2 months. We've had it for 2 months. That's true. Since town meeting day, basically.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Are you here to talk about something that's not on the agenda?
Yes,
Okay,
I didn't see it on the agenda, but I'm just here to be helpful if I can.
Come on up.
come on up.
Okay.
Please address, we should have asked Chuck to put his name in the record, but.
He did. He did.
He did.
He
Oh,
did.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
25 miles an hour.
So I have to say who I am.
Yes, you do.
I'm Lathan Gravel,
Oh, okay,
and I'm here
didn't recognize you.
to talk to. I was told that you were gonna be discussing the road renaming thing, and I wanted to be helpful to answer any questions if there were any.
Oh, that must be coming from the Lister's office.
Yes.
Because she does the E911s and actually does with the naming. It's nice of you to come and, if.
Her question is, his question to her was, can they change, they want to change the road before the town takes it over, if the town is taking it over.
Do you want to
Um,
change the name?
Yes, Gravel,
Yeah, well,
To-
actually, before all this stuff we just went through, I went to ask the same question I'm asking now. And part of how we got where we are is just me asking these questions of us, like, I'd like to rename the road. All right, what's the status of the road? Then everything. Right, so now that we've been through all this, before a map is recorded and
Oh, good.
all that stuff, I'd like to do the same for a number of reasons.
Is there a timeline on this? And so could we get this as an agenda item so we can, because we can't do anything.
We can't make
We can't do anything if
decisions.
it's not on the agenda. So
Well,
is there,
talk to us
But I
about
think
it,
information from,
because we're not naming the road. It's
Correct.
up to the Listers to
Well,
change the name.
It is, so, I know, Lori, forwarded an email where I addressed some of the items, but when I first asked the question, if it is a private road, then the landowners don't have to ask permission to name the road, they can just rename it.
Right.
So technically speaking, you guys will take over the road after a series of things have happened. And before that, what is the status of the road? And if it is private, then we like either way, we'd like to rename it, and if it was public and we had to have some consensus about it, which I still want to anyway. I've been talking to the other residents of the road about it for some time now. And I was just asking Lori, what is the process? And then when I know more, I'll talk more with my neighbors.
what do you,
Because she's the one, we have nothing to do with the naming. She does the E911.
yeah, I'd have to. I don't know enough about this stuff to dare answer. A couple things I would want to do is review the agreement. And
Mhm.
I guess beyond that, I don't know that I personally care.
I had spoken to Lori about this. And I have a better understanding of what was asked is before the town takes it over for the Listers. Before the town takes it over, it's easier to change the name. If it's the town takes it over
Yeah.
before the name changes, it's harder to
there's a
change
governmental
it.
process to do
Yeah,
it.
the maps and
exactly.
everything, it's a process. So she said it would be easier to change it now before the town took it over than to put it in
Right,
there
yeah.
as Gravel Drive and then come back and change it later because it's already on the state maps
Well, that makes
as
sense.
Gravel Drive.
What do you, just out of curiosity, what do you want to change the name to?
Idalore Farm Road, which is something my grandmother came up with years ago.
That's right, because her, yeah, was that Ida was her name, right?
Mhm.
Ida and Adelore, it's
Yeah.
their names mixed together.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Ma-
Yeah, so I can definitely put this on, I had it here to discuss with you guys later on.
The other
so.
thing is too, I'd rather not have my name on the road, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, when you see people, they say something, I'm like, I guess it's kind of cool. But the other thing is, there's a Gravel Road in Milton.
Oh, yeah.
Which my grandparents own that too. It's old US two, and everybody, when they turned it from US two into this road, after they eminent domained a bunch of my grandparents' land, all the neighbors chose to call it that. So it's appropriate over there, but it's not unique in a way. And if you're punching things in online and stuff,
Mhm.
it's always getting confused. So I thought, being that we're recording a map and all that stuff, that this would be the best time to do it.
Yes, this Paul wants to talk to us about it anyway. I mean, we could just
But do we,
talk about that.
does it even, I mean, because we're just talking right now, we're not
Mhm.
doing anything.
No.
If Paula can either on her own or through,
Lori,
what's our lawyer's name?
Lori Diekman.
No, our lawyer.
Claudine.
Oh, or Lori,
Yeah.
Claudine.
Either Paula or Claudine can look at it and say like, yep, there's nothing in here saying that the name, there's nothing around, like nothing can change or whatever. There's nothing addressing it in that agreement, then to my mind, right now it's a private road and they can call it whatever they want.
Right.
And then when we take it over, that's what the
Mhm.
name
There's
is. And
nothing
it sounds like
addressing
there's no
it.
controversy.
No.
It's more like, hey, can we do this just to make it not become a big complex issue?
Right.
It may
Yeah,
not
that's
be
what
that
it
we
is.
want to put a tag on that agreement for future reference in case, like with anything, I understand it's going to be a little bit of a pain for everybody who lives there and all these things. And Lori was saying the parcel number designation could just stay the same. And
It
And
might,
that's-
it might be good to get if we do get this on the agenda for the next meeting, it might be good to get more than just you know what I mean? To
Yeah,
get-
I
to
would
get
do
some
that.
consensus from
Residents,
people that
yeah,
live
the
there
re-
that are
the
gonna
other
have to
ones,
change
yeah.
their-
well, some people, most everybody could participated both spiritually and financially in our recent effort, except for one person who,
Right,
I'm
but
not
they
really-
didn't, but this part wasn't. included.
yeah,
So
so
like, I'd
I
just like
mean,
to know that they were okay with changing it to that name, that's all.
yeah.
Who
well, I
owns
think
the
they
road
would
right
be.
now? Do you own the
They-
road right now?
Well,
Theoretically, yes.
our legal position is one thing.
Oh,
Technically, the agreement says when the town takes it over after certain things are done, so
Yeah.
that hasn't happened yet. So
no, but I know that we don't own it right now. Or we don't say it, but are you an individual who owns the road or is it like a conglomerate
my
of 15
father and
people?
his two siblings technically
So
own it.
three of you on the road.
Yeah. So,
I'm only asked, I feel like. I think it makes good sense to talk to the neighbors and say, hey, we want to do this, you guys are okay with that, but
yeah,
from my like, maybe this is putting my foot in my mouth, but like the three of you on the road right now. Change the name and hope and.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want everybody on board, of course. That's just
Right,
how I am. But not everyone, but the vast majority of people who live there would be. So I was just asking about the process. If the process is that the landowners, all they have to do is change it by some decree. Then that's all I need to know. I'll go talk to everybody else and
Yeah,
You work with
I don't know what
the
else, I mean, we have tons of private roads, I mean, has this happened before,
No,
where someone was?
not that I'm aware
changed
of.
the
I
name
do
of a
not
private
know
road
that
has
I'm
more than
aware.
one
Yeah,
person on it?
yeah,
But
I,
they've changed number, actually.
Old Palm.
Yeah, numbering has changed on people's roads. I mean,
Mhm.
and they've had to change it.
Yep,
we
Yeah.
wouldn't want to change numbers.
Yeah.
And actually,
But it came from Essex, we had just one of the roads that come between, and so Essex changed the numbers, which changed all the
Mhm.
Jericho numbers.
that's confusing, yeah.
Mhm.
But it used to be called Snipe Island Road before E
Yeah.
911 called it they just picked Gravel Drive. It wasn't like a process that was
Oh.
thoughtful or anything.
Yeah.
And even if you look through the old minutes, they would call it the road the Gravels live on, you know, it wasn't a formal name. It was just like, that's where they live, you know, so,
Which is a short step to, oh, it's just Gravel Drive. Like,
yeah, just
where the
kind
Gravels
of
live.
became that, you know, and, so I think I'm thinking into the future. I think this is more thoughtful, more appropriate, more unique. And to me, it's just paying some homage to my grandparents, that's all. And, I think everybody else would appreciate that too, on the road, most everybody else.
Cool.
Okay,
Yeah, just work with Lori.
yeah, I'll definitely be in touch with Lori and then she'll get in touch with you.
Okay,
All right.
Provided that all lines up with whatever's in the agreement. There's
Yep.
nothing in there
Yep.
saying everything is frozen or something.
Yep.
no, it doesn't say that, but we probably have to have tags, on things, otherwise known as, or formerly known as. or
Yeah.
Yeah,
Something like that.
exactly. I bet you're right, because
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank
through those
you.
titles
you.
gets very
Thank you.
confusing. Thank you. All right. Next is, we get to talk about the audit.
So, Rick,
Yes, Rick Brigham. Can you hear me okay?
yep,
Yep.
Okay, great. Hey, everybody, thanks for having me here tonight. Appreciate a few minutes to kind of review with you your 2023 audit report. What I'd like to just focus on is kind of a quick summary of the report. Obviously, there's a lot of information going on in here. I'm just going to go through a few of the highlights and mostly focus on results. So we're going to focus on, we're going to start on pages 1, 2, and 3. This financial statement has a lot of information in it about the funds, balance sheets, income statements, backup for collateralization of cash, debt agreements, stuff like that. My charge in this is really to give an opinion on the financial statements. So once we've done our testing of account balances, review of confirmations, review of contracts, tie out cash, all that kind of stuff toward the end of the year, book receivables, make sure everything's set as far as year-end balances. We are charged with the responsibility of giving you an opinion on the financial statements. We basically have 3 choices of an opinion. We can have an adverse opinion, which means your financial statements aren't fairly stated. We could have a qualified opinion, which means your financial statements are fairly stated except for something. But the best opinion you can have is an unqualified opinion on your financial statements. Once again, the town of Jericho has achieved an unqualified opinion on their financial statements for the 2023 audit. I like to congratulate all my clients who get to that unqualified report, because not all of them do, and I know a lot of them are working hard to get there. But getting there again for you guys, again, I just wanted to point out there's a lot of work that goes into it, and the board with the management team, finance, to get this financial statement out in final and to get it unqualified from an audit perspective. If you're looking at the second page of the opinion, the top paragraph tells you really what these 49 pages of this financial statement is. It's management's responsibility for the presentation and fair presentation of the financial statements. That top paragraph kind of outlines what your responsibility is. And then going back to my, that second paragraph in the first page, that's my responsibility about coming up with the opinion. If you're going to pages 4 through 9, if you looked at nothing else in the audit report this year, and you just wanted a quick summary of how the year went, I would review this pages 4 through 9. It's called the Management's Discussion and Analysis. It's basically a much more user-friendly document that outlines what happened in the year, what happened in changes in fund balance, and it's written in a lot more user-friendly way for people to understand it. A lot of our terminology in as far as our footnotes and our documentation is built down from GASB, so some of it can be hard for people to understand. But if you're looking at this document, it's a much more easier read and understand and help you understand what happened during the year. One other thing, so going to page 12. So basically page 12 is the major funds, the general fund and the road impact fee balance sheets for the year. a balance sheet is basically a snapshot in time. This is as of June 30, 2023, in the general fund and the road impact fee, as well as the other non-major funds. What were your assets and liabilities? And these are the totals that came up. And you take your assets, you minus your liabilities, and you come up to your fund balances. If you're looking at general fund, you're seeing your unassigned fund balance as of June 30, 2023 was 765,127, which if I look back at last year's, it's pretty darn close to last year's. Last year's was 735. So it seems like it's a pretty good, healthy fund balance. And again, not much different from what it was last year. If you're looking at page 16, this is probably something you've been seeing all year long. That is the budget versus actual during the year of what happened between revenues and expenses. I'm not going to get much into that because I'm pretty sure you guys have been at least getting that on a quarterly basis to get kind of an update of where you guys are for revenues versus budget. If you're looking at pages 19 through 39, those are what we call the notes to the financial statements. If you are looking for a deeper dive into the debt terms, interest rates that you're paying on, the uncollateralized cash, or what is collateralized in your cash, what are the fund balances can be used for, all those kinds of details are in these notes to the financial statement. So you can kind of pick those page by page apart. And if you're looking for something specific that relates to any of those kind of either assets, liabilities, or equity, you can get a lot of great information in there. Obviously, it would take a lot of time to kind of go through that. So I'm going to just kind of note to you that it's there if you want to go through it. If you're looking at pages 42 through 47, these are your other funds. It's kind of like what we did in the front with the balance sheet and the income statement related to the general fund and the other major fund. These are the non-major funds, the other special revenue funds like Brinkley Cemetery. My glasses aren't helping me tonight. Recreation Impact Fee Fund. So all those reserve funds are back here, again, showing you the balance sheet and income statement of those funds and what happened with each of those funds during the year. So one of the other charges, other than giving you the audit opinion for the year, is during the course of our work and testing, if we find any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in internal control or processes, we need to report that to the board. And again, I'm pleased to report that we did not identify any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in any of the testing that we applied during the year. We did discuss with your staff during the field work about possibly putting in some new policies and some new control manuals and accounting manuals and having that all written up so that anytime a new person can come in or a new board member comes in, they can read those documents and have them on hand to know what are the accounting processes and procedures we have and what are the controls we have in place. So I think they've started working on those. I think at one point I gave them examples, and if they need more examples of things to try to get those policies and procedures in place and written up, I'd be glad to help you guys out with that as we move toward the next audit.
When you say controls, what are controls?
Like, for example, accounting controls, like somebody who reconciles the bank statement shouldn't be somebody who signs the check. Somebody who who's reviewing the payroll after the payroll, who's reviewing time cards, signing off on time cards. So it's all the controls over whether it's payroll, disbursements, how many board members are required to sign the warrant? Are they looking at the invoices when they're signing the warrant? Those kinds of controls outline what your accounting controls are in your system, in your entity. And what I like to see them is in a written document, like written up and seen so that anybody new coming in can say, here they are. And hey, we might want to tweak this for something new we have. Maybe we have a new revenue source. So that just helps you kind of tweak that document to keep things changed and moving along.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Other required communications to the board for the annual audit. We encountered no difficulties in dealing with staff or management. We had no disagreements with staff or management. There were no consultations that we were aware of with other outside auditors, and all entries that we proposed were posted by management. So overall, I thought it was a very successful first year audit for us. I know this was our first year with you guys. I really feel like the second year we'll hit the ground running, and we'll be familiar with you, and your team will be more familiar with us, and hopefully even get an earlier jump on it and get it to you even a lot quicker this year.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that it's taken us this long to get together for you to actually present the audit so that we can accept it for the year. And just in a couple months, you got to turn it around and start doing the
I know,
next year.
exactly. Well, we did get it issued back in February. I know they've been trying to schedule the meeting, and sometimes that can be a little delayed a couple months, but my goal would be even to get it earlier to you, hopefully in like December or something like that. That way we could have a meeting maybe around Christmas or something like that. That would make more sense to me.
Yeah, or at least January.
I'm
Yeah.
assuming if there were major issues in it, we might have.
Right.
a little sooner.
Yes, that's probably true. Exactly.
Can I ask you, I have two questions,
Yep.
neither of which maybe you can answer. One is, anywhere in here, is there a way to see what was our lowest balance in our three funds? Like on March 17th, the lowest balance of the year was on March 17th, you only had whatever, $3.7 million. That was the lowest dollar amount you had on hand. Is that
Yeah,
anywhere in here?
that will not be in here, because again, this
Okay.
is always as of snapshot in time, as of June 30th. Anybody in the finance team can answer those questions for you. If you give
Yep.
them a pretty specific question, they can go back through the general ledger detail and look at those individual account balances and see exactly what their lowest segment or lowest balances were at any point in time.
Okay, fabulous. And then my other question, which I was gonna bring up with you guys, and didn't realize you were gonna be here, and I think it's in your zone, but if it's not, you can just say, yeah, that's not a question for me, is evaluating, or I'm not even sure what the right word is, assessing maybe a municipality's debt capacity.
Yeah, a lot of times all I'll tell you on that is I've gone to many communities where they have no debt. And then I've gone to many communities where they have tons of debt. So I really see it all over the board. I know GASB probably has some of what they like to see. I know the state has a statute on it, which is the number would be astronomical. So you're nowhere near any sort of statute limitations. But to give you an exact figure, I looked at your debt for the size of your town, and I didn't think, I thought it looked pretty good and pretty consistent with what I'd seen of towns with your communities. Because that is one of the things I look at. I don't try to judge it, but I do kind of look at the number of pieces of debt, when they're going to pay off, when you're getting new debt. And yours did not strike me as something that was worrisome.
Awesome, thank you.
Great. So what you have to do tonight is accept the audit.
I'll make a motion to accept the audit as presented.
I will second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And it was
Thank you very
a very
much.
thorough report.
Thank you.
Have a great night. Thanks.
You too.
Yeah, Sullivan Powers used to do the RPC. They decided they were going to do, they changed their priorities. But the one thing that we have members of our board that always at that board fuss about is the fact that you have, based on the new GASB rules, you have to put the liability from your pension plans in
Yep.
there, even though you have absolutely no control over it.
Right.
But that's GASB. And with some organizations, looks like a pretty substantial number. But there's nothing you can do. It really changes the balance sheet when you look at it, like, whoa, look at the difference. And that's why the RPC, their auditor now splits it out. So this is what it is according to GASB, but this is what you really look like if you take that out and stuff. And you can even see big here. Some towns are doing it, right? But now we going to review an updated sheriff's contract.
Yeah, so I did reach out to the sheriffs and they are willing to do the extra 10 hours. And Dion, was going to check with I gave you a copy of my email, the dispatcher from Winooski Police, who, for the weekends, he was just gonna confirm with them that they could do that. He does have, a couple of deputies that are willing to work Saturday and Sunday. I just haven't heard back from him about the dispatch. So, I mean, I'm not sure, he can do the 50 hours, just not sure with the dispatch on the weekends.
Is that extra money on the weekends?
Nope, he's
So
got
it's
the
just
same
straight-
cost and,
it's just-
yep.
Yeah, and it'd sometimes be nice to have, we don't know if they can, but maybe an evening or something,
Mhm, mhm.
so the evening rush hour.
So
Yeah,
this was in response to my question about, should we consider just upping our sheriff
Mhm.
hours instead of going with this random bit from the state police who were more expensive and up to 8, but no real, they
Up
didn't,
to what?
up to 8,
hours.
8 extra. So we get 40 from the sheriff.
Yep.
Before, and we get up to
Up to
8
8
from the
monthly. Or weekly?
state police.
a week, right?
But
It's up, the challenge is up to,
not
there's no,
zero.
yeah, they don't know when they're gonna have availability, when they're not, et cetera. So I
And
thought
there
it
might
might be
be-
better to have I thought we might get a little more presence
Mhm.
for a little less money if we do it this way. That was just a question that I had, so that was just me, so I don't know how you
Mm.
guys feel about it, but.
Well, this is an updated contract. You could make a motion. if you-
Yeah.
I,
Oh, wait,
it's true, I guess that's one way to find out.
Right.
I'm happy to discuss it.
Let's discuss. So this contract is for
50 hours instead of the 40.
50 hours instead of 40.
Mhm.
And is that only, with my son not listening, like during, is there certain times when that is happening?
No, they will
It's
do.
anytime at
Pretty
all?
much the sheriffs will do it during the week, the regular hours.
Like 9 to 5-ish? Okay,
But
you
they-
were talking, so you said something about like, oh, well, evenings, like rush hour would be good.
Mhm.
Well,
But is that like a micromanaging we can't actually do?
No,
well,
you can
the
do
way I
it.
think it happened, the way I recollect it happened is Catherine said that the police were, the state police were a little bit better about those other hours. And
Mm.
so that was one challenge with going this way. And so that's why she's reaching out to them to see if they have some
Yeah,
more availability outside of the Monday
Mhm.
through Friday, which she's
Gotcha.
waiting to hear back from.
Gotcha.
But
Yeah.
the other thing is, the sheriff's department was much more receptive to being, suggesting like, oh, could you please focus on Skunk Hollow today?
That would,
The sheriffs were more open to that kind of thing.
I think we need to, can we talk about that? I don't know. I think we need to ask him exactly that.
what's that?
To focus.
Focus on Skunk Hollow.
Oh, yeah, they will.
Yeah.
We can call them up and just say, hey, can you guys go patrol this area?
And they do. I mean,
Yep.
they're very
Yep.
good about that
Mhm.
and have been in the past.
And who gets the money from the tickets?
It's split between the state and the town.
Mhm.
What?
Okay.
Really? I
Yeah,
thought we got it.
we
No.
get a portion of
They only get a portion of
Is
it.
it,
Learn something new
is
every
it
day.
50-50?
it.
What do we
Is it
get?
embarrassingly small how much we get?
No.
No, we had a decent, remember, it was in the revenue thing of our budget. It was,
It gets quite a bit, eh?
Well, I mean,
It was-
actually, I was kind of, like, is it a wash? Like, do we, like, how
It's
much
not
we
a
bring in
No.
versus how much we're sending out? Like,
We definitely bring
it's
in.
100 and,
oh, you didn't have to present the budget.
No.
That's why you don't.
I can decide when to listen and when to. tune you
Yeah.
guys out.
Okay, now I remember. Okay,
Okay, so we do get money. What
Mhm.
percentage is it?
I'll find it, but it was,
It's.
I can find it. Give me a
It
minute.
doesn't cover the whole cost, that's for sure.
Okay, but it does take a chunk out.
Oh,
of it.
yeah.
It takes a
Absolutely.
significant chunk out of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't
for
realize
sure.
that. I was like, that's a lot of money. Why don't?
Yeah.
But, okay, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, we do get, we do get a return on investment.
Okay.
Plus you also get people,
To slow down
Slow
and it's
down.
safer and your kids don't get hit.
right, exactly,
Do
exactly.
we need a motion on this contract?
Yeah, I want to
you-
get you your answer first.
It's if you're gonna pass it.
And then-
Um,
So I don't see hours on this contract.
Yeah. it
Yes,
just
it's
says-
down, it's on the, in the back on the appendix, the last page, it says up to 50
Oh.
hours.
I didn't see the appendix.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the new one.
Okay.
So the last actual we have for 2023 was 57,000.
Okay.
And
That's at least
It's a pretty good
between a third and a
amount.
half.
Mm,
Mhm.
Okay, I make a motion to accept the
Yeah,
contract
Kathy.
between ourselves and the Chittenden County Sheriff's Department, including Appendix A.
I second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Great, all right, let's.
Under select board updates, Gaze here to just give a little bit of the town update on town-wide
Wow,
reimagined.
I mean, I was
Good,
impressed
nice
because I
timing.
know that you had a meeting.
Hey.
Meeting at the UU barn, right?
I just sent her a text. I'm
I
like,
knew, I
Oh.
knew that because I heard you talking to Angelica, who was over there earlier.
Oh.
Trying to fix the room. So.
Nice, well played, Paula.
see, I did it discreetly.
Yeah,
It's magic.
you're on.
16th day of May. 2020. Sure I signed it right.
Thank
Great.
you.
So, I'm, this week, last week, this week. Paula and I went, Paula was kind enough to go through, meet with me, and as we suggested last time I talked with you. And we kind of went through, what are the dates we're talking about? What is the budget process? What does it look like? And, as I left, I had that email, I wrote an email and then it was all my notes from talking to, Paula. What did I do? Sorry. Yeah, great. So when does the process start? I won't, I just sort of summarize it for the group. I don't need to summarize for you. There are a couple things that we're sort of coming to terms with in our work. And one is that we've talked to you before about, we could have the Australian ballot vote be in April. And the step 2 meeting, remember step 1, step 2, step 3 is the vote. Step 1 is the kickoff to the budget process. Step 2 is this town meeting reimagined. And I had the idea that we could have the step 2 meeting be on the first Tuesday of March and move the Australian ballot vote to April afterwards. We can.
Oh, that
But-
is,
no.
oh. That's what I've been waiting, that's the
That
thing
was
I've
a
been-
good one.
That's the thing I've been,
Well, you got so much to learn about this job.
there's always one.
Yeah, there's always.
Good news is always following.
Sorry.
That was a good one, Gabe.
Didn't mean.
It's a good thing that you can do that.
We can do that, but doing it for 2025 is really unlikely, like impossible. We could, the way we would do it is to have a charter change vote in November. We have an election in November, so it could happen. And charter changes become bills in the legislature. And even if every day that they were moving, they would move the thing a little further along in front of anything else on the agenda, they wouldn't receive it, to act on it till they don't exist until the
January 3rd.
January, the first Wednesday of January. And that first week is all, certifying elections and
Getting rolling.
it's getting people appointed to committees and who are the committee chairs and da, 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 da. So you're talking about February 1st and that's really
Turbo.
moving turbo through. And the meeting needs to happen in January if we're gonna, that's too late essentially. And so that's my first aha. The second aha is there's so much moving in there are so many other towns working on this same, very similar issues.
Let me jump real quick. You said the meeting needs to be in January.
Like if the answer is no, the meeting would need the,
Right.
You're gonna have
right, if
to,
you have to vote on town meeting day, is what
Gotcha.
you're saying.
Okay,
It's
okay.
already-
If it doesn't work, you have to.
You
Well,
have
we
to-
missed our,
Yeah.
missed our opportunity to
Yeah.
have
Right.
a meeting reimagined,
Right,
essentially,
right.
waiting for that to happen, that's the change.
Yeah, and
But it would, you could roll the dice.
you could roll the dice.
Well, that's kind of what I was wondering if there's a way to do two parallel tracks.
Can I just
Sorry,
keep
yes,
going?
yes, sorry,
The
yeah.
other, I mean, I can keep, yeah, there's even, I would say there's skeptics in the committee about whether we really should push that hard. Most people in town are not paying attention to this whole process.
That's very.
And it's gonna be very new. And so to move this charter change and promote it and explain why, when it's to support a process that hasn't even happened yet. It just feels like, really? And the town clerk really doesn't want us to, Jessica is very much, could you please have the vote on town meeting day? So there's
For
this
25.
for 20, forever.
So she
She
wants
could
it.
move, but yeah, she's, she has to create another vote. So we have another voting day.
But we, could,
It can be done,
it
Would
can't
we-
be done because we just paid for it.
but the
Would we have-
question is knowing, we won't know
Right.
whether that's the right process. So let me switch to talking about the other, that was part of of what has moved since last time, is really. I mean, I really would like, I liked the idea of moving the vote and having town meeting day be town meeting and
A lot
reimagined
of
and
people
all
seem
that.
to do that,
It appealed to me. So I've had a little bit of mourning to let go of that as what we would be doing in
You just
2025.
crushed.
I know it. But the other piece of it is, I had imagined that what we are doing to your budget process is gonna move it up by like 6 to 8 weeks. And talking with Paula, we realized it really isn't. It's moving it up. It is moving it up. But if we're talking about moving it up really 2 or 3 maybe weeks. In that, you may not see it that way, but the one difference is that this isn't a warning. This is a draft budget. You could post it the week before we talk about it. It's not a formal vote. We're not.
Yep.
This is and this is how Duxbury does it, and there may be other towns as well. But there are towns where the select board is basically saying, this is what we're thinking about, what are you thinking? I think our voters were looking for something more than that. But it is, there is a window where just try this out as a schedule that after talking with Paula, I think this is what I am hearing. That late August to mid-September, there would be the step 1 vision meeting, the kickoff, where it's and someone on our committee, Sam, I think, came up with the process being vision, guidance, vote, the 3 meetings. Like this first meeting, the kickoff is, what are we looking for out of the budget? What are we hoping for? What do we hope that the budget could accomplish? The step 2, what he called guidance, what we've meeting would be, here's the draft of what we've, the requests that have come to us, this is what we heard in the vision meeting. This is what of that we felt was the most compelling, that we really tried to accommodate, and here's how you see it in this budget. Here's what we heard, but we didn't, because we didn't feel that we could put it all in this budget. And here's the draft budget. And then the third would be
What's the date on the guidance?
sorry. I started off, step one vision meeting, late August to mid-September.
Yep.
November 1, reports and budget requests due to Paula from outside groups. That's pretty much the date now, but Paula's pretty nice about it and lets people drag their feet, and it's gonna have to be a little more like, no, you really need to get this in. And then, January, I have window here, I don't, and I
Yeah.
bet you have an opinion about which dates would work, but January 6th to 21st could be possible window for the step 2 guidance meeting. Where, and then January, and if it was on the late side of that, if that step 2 guidance meeting were on the 20th of January, for example, then you would have a Thursday on the 23rd and a Thursday, the 30th. To,
I'm sorry, I missed, I was trying to follow. The last meeting was what, was the 30th of what month?
the window for the step 2 guidance meeting would be in January, January 6th to 21st.
Yep.
I'm pulling these names, you're gonna
Yeah,
say, no,
yeah.
you're
I
crazy.
got that one.
Then, I had my calendar in front of me, and I believe January 23rd is a Thursday, and January 30th is a Thursday. You could meet, take the input from the meeting, and finalize the budget. The point is, you have to warn the budget on January 31st in order to have it up for 30 days before March 4th. So your deadline is January 31st. You gotta
Okay, thank
be,
you.
that's
I
when
got
you
it.
gotta vote.
Yep.
That's when you have to warn it.
Yep.
So, what I'm suggesting is that, for example, if there was a January 15th, I don't have my dates to know what
Yeah.
day of the week I'm talking about, but if there was a step 2 this discussion on January 15th, then you would have the 23rd, the 16th, the 23rd, and the 30th to meet before you warn the budget. Am I making any sense?
You are, I have
Oh,
a
yeah.
question, why wouldn't, so if, let's say the meeting is January 15th, just to pick a random time to talk about. We had that meeting, this big hoopla and Phil Newbeck.
And that
Phil Newbeck.
second meeting is the closest version to what we
Right,
had.
so Phil
before.
Newbeck
Yeah.
stands up and adds $500 for road striping or whatever. And if we hit all those in favor and everyone votes and whatever, why can't we then make a motion by the select board, make a motion to warn the dollar amount of X thousand dollars of, X million, whatever, and at that moment, either initiate or the whole thing is a select board meeting. If that's not possible, initiate a select board meeting. Make a motion to finalize the budget that night, and then it's just done. Why would we need to wait and have a separate
Well,
select board
that's your
meeting?
process.
But
That,
see, there's a certain time frame that you can't warn the meeting.
it's 40 or 30 days.
Yeah,
So you
exactly.
couldn't do it, but the point of what he's asking
Yeah.
is still there. We could meet on the 20th, and what you're saying is you could vote it on the 20th,
Right.
or you could vote it at the next select board meeting on the 23rd.
Right, why can't the three of us just vote on the final number
Right.
on that, or as presented or whatever?
You could.
At the end of that meeting, either,
And then you have the other meeting to warn them.
why can't we just warn the whole, just,
Well, it all depends on the timing. If you're too early.
oh.
I think you
oh.
want to have it as late as possible, so you're not pushing Paula
Exactly,
and all your
yeah.
people, so.
Yeah.
You're going the other way. I'm glad I came. I was like, they're gonna want this as early as possible, but I'm hearing something else. You could meet on the 20th or 21st. We could have the step 2 meeting on the 20th or 21st.
Right.
And you, then could that night or the 30th or the 23rd or the 30th, you still are in that 10-day window.
Right.
So we could even, what you're saying is you really could have the step 2 meeting on the 23rd.
Were you thinking we wanted it earlier? Because then once this whole thing is sugared off, we need time to
Clean it up.
assess it and make sure we're okay and discuss it and then finalize it and then
Yes.
push it forward.
Yes.
I feel like the opposite. I feel like that to honor the request of the motions on the floor from town meeting, it should be like, okay, you've spoken.
Mhm.
this is the budget number, and not like, oh, now give us time to get in our smoke-filled room and decide what we're gonna actually do.
It's
That's
your-
my, that's my,
That's
that's my opinion only, that's
Well,
not,
it's closer to town meeting. The key is we just have to have pretty much have a defined draft for that.
Well, that's why you're gonna want it as late as possible.
Yeah.
So now, I mean, so this is, so say we had that meeting on the 23rd.
Yeah.
That gives you a week breathing room if there was something that you knew was gonna drop and you had one more week to get it, to get that number in. But if we had it on the 23rd,
1 week.
like if you were
Something's gonna
waiting-
We
drop.
start working on the budget in October and November, right? And
Yeah.
like stuff changes, stuff comes up, somebody comes in and like, hey, we
it could be a
need.
state
we-
trooper.
Yeah, we
coming in
need
and
a new the ice
Okay.
rink, we gotta get
Okay.
lights for, I don't know,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
So
Okay.
she's
Okay.
given us as much time.
I'm
as we
just
can
giving
get.
The
you,
last minute,
yeah,
Things.
Or just-
something.
Something might,
Sometimes it takes us a while to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
Before
Yeah.
we,
or like,
we,
all of a sudden, you did not expect to have to buy a truck, and they
Yeah.
come in and say,
Yeah.
oh, guess what?
or we
need
missed
a truck."
something, or,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
we've struggled with the budget a little bit and been like. Had
what you're
differing thoughts of what we were going, you know, so it just, it's hard work.
But
so.
you would have that on the 30th, so
That's right.
you're giving a longer window to this possible window for the step 2 guidance meeting, and that gives you more time to collect the information and put the budget together, because I was worried about having January 6th because then you're gonna hand out a draft budget on Christmas.
Right.
New Year's,
No one's
and
gonna
that-
hear.
no one's gonna look.
Well, and very often the fire department doesn't come in with their final budget until January, that early part of January. So,
Okay.
and that has to be on, I mean.
yeah, so the later the better to get.
So
Even though
January,
that's
get
a
the best
separate line, even
information.
though that's a separate item on the warning, at least, you want to be able to have people talk about it.
well, so what I'm hearing is that this window for step 2 maybe is more like the 21st to the 23rd.
Or 30th or Tuesday, or whatever, but 23rd probably makes,
Yeah,
so that we do have an extra day, extra
Mhm.
meeting.
And I'm sorry, when's the printer in general, around, you know, give me the.
so
exact date,
it's
is it-
usually around the middle of February.
Okay. I
Like
was thinking-
February
I was thinking middle of
14th
January.
or something.
I got my.
The thing that needs to be signed off with Jessica is the town warning, the official warning.
Is it
That
in
have to
January?
be signed off,
Oh, so like the.
like
what-
That's
January,
31st.
yes,
Right.
And
And that includes the budget.
Because
That-
the
that's
vote
the
is the
budget number.
same
yes.
now, we're not, this calendar is all based on the vote being on the first week.
Right, yep,
So you're gonna follow the same
Yep.
timing of all those.
just
pieces.
doing some different things, but it's the same marks that you had. to
right,
get this year.
everything's the same, really,
Mhm,
except that.
exactly.
They're, how we vote on them, when, like, but up to that point, nothing has changed, other than we'll have this big meeting.
This
Yeah,
big input
exactly.
piece.
So if we have the big, the town meeting reimagined, I think the 23rd. Well, the other question is gonna be, where is there a space that's big enough to be able to hold a meeting like this in January? That'll be the next question, because there isn't a January holiday that I know of.
Right.
Have-
Yeah, 'cause
MLK?
I was gonna say MLK, do they take the day off for that
They
one?
do,
Most schools do.
ooh, that might be a
But that's
A little tight.
little insensitive.
Yeah, definitely insensitive.
Hmm.
It's the other thing,
Well, we can cross that bridge, but this is helpful.
At least you got that
But-
realm of the date.
I guess my
about that.
question,
We'll get a little heat in the barn, my barn.
yeah, because the community center is not as connect, it's more to one side of the town than the, MMU is. And those chairs are.
Well,
more
we used to
com-
do it over here. I mean, we used to do it at the elementary school.
Right.
Hmm, hmm.
I mean, I know that you can use, I don't know if you can use the auditorium, but I know that you can sign up to use the library and Kiva on weekends. Because the art and artisans used to do that. We just had to pay for the custodian.
Hmm.
So it may be something that,
Good thought.
this is one of these Saturday
yeah, because I
Because
think there's a
people talk
real
about wanting it on
resistance to having,
Saturdays.
there's definitely a resistant, to having it on a daytime. So that's a good reminder that it could be the library.
Say that again, Gaye?
Uh, I'm constantly finding myself in meetings going, oh, I'm making assumptions.
Yeah.
That others are not.
Yeah.
And one of them is I sort of think of it as a, town meeting Tuesday or
Yeah.
it's become clear to me that there would be real resistance to having it be a daytime weekday meeting. That we want to make it so it could be a time where people who have jobs could
Could get
get there.
You could do it a
So-
Saturday,
Like 5.
Saturday, at the Rawson Library is,
or even but this is an
Or
MMU's
school.
library.
Or you do like
in the key.
5:30 on a weeknight. I don't know,
Right.
weekends are just so busy too,
Right, right.
Well, they're not quite as busy and.
the high school
True.
library is what a number of people have talked about, because it's where like the planning commission has had successful input meetings.
Right,
And people envisioned there would be tables, like tables with information, tables where people would be making,
right.
And why wouldn't it be the exact same as town meeting day? Where it's in the auditorium,
I
There's
don't,
that-
we've never,
gauntlet to run of tables and such.
that would be asking a lot of those volunteer committees. Cause they're gonna probably do it again for the Australian ballot when more people come through.
no, that could be true. Your task force definitely thinks of people coming to vote on town meeting, on the Australian ballot vote, and that people will not want to table then.
And do
That
nothing
this would
else.
be the
Walk
date
in,
to
vote.
table.
Well, I see,
Right.
interesting, I had,
Walk in, you vote,
see,
you
I
walk
made the
out.
assumption thinking that they were thinking that, this is normal. We walk in, we go to, get a donut and go vote and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But yeah, so I made them, so.
we haven't gotten that far in our talking. Because that's the kind of conversation we can have when we get there, but we're more trying to get through this, getting to these
And
schedules.
it's a very strong possibility to be able to use the Kiva in the library for sure,
Yeah.
at MMU.
Yeah.
Is that big enough?
Well, that's where the, I don't know, maybe you can rent the auditorium, I don't know. We never tried
We can,
on a weekend.
we can definitely, I'm happy to hear your input on that.
Too
On the
micromanaging,
space,
just leave you
But
alone.
right now,
Yeah.
I really I didn't want to have you under the impression that, I can feel the shift in our thinking is to have the vote on town meeting day. And the conversation with Paula helped me realize we're not talking about moving the budget process up as much as I initially thought it was,
Yeah,
because of the dynamics around. It's not like you want to post it the night before,
right.
but it could be posted a week before.
Yeah.
Online. And,
Right,
you
right
know,
online.
make it available, to people.
Cool. It's a great update.
It is great, I
Okay.
mean, that's really quite fascinating. But you're right, we jump to our own conclusions at times.
I'm
thinking-
constantly I'm making an
Catching us up,
assumption and then like,
Cause I just
oh,
kept thinking,
I
oh,
didn't
yeah,
even-
they're gonna vote and everybody comes to vote, that, there's tables and stuff there, but but never thought about that.
yeah,
MLK Day is January 20th next year. And there's ways to frame that. Around education, but. Thank you very much, Gaye.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you.
the last piece of that is trying it this way could inform, like, if we all feel like this is really a rush, this is really crazy, then we could have on March 4th a charter change vote,
Right,
for next year. Or we can just reassess and do it, take our time as we go. And things could change in the legislature, like there could be some kind of legislative authority for towns to change or to hold votes through hybrid meetings. It's really clear there's, from our conversations with Susan Clark, that this conversation is alive in a number of towns.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier, the conversation about having to vote on town meeting day, or just about when vote, when.
About hybrid voting, about about the format of how to have a meaningful town meeting experience that a lot of people can access.
That's equitable.
Yeah.
and be able to actually vote by Zoom.
Mhm.
Or
Yeah.
electronically
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah.
But that's the trick right now that they're having discussed. So I appreciated the notes from Susan. That was the Susan part. That was really interesting.
Who's Susan
good.
Clark?
She wrote a book on town meeting day with Frank Bryant. And she is the moderator of the town of Middlesex.
Oh, okay.
And she was recommended to me by VLCT because she's working with a lot of towns. Towns often come to her when they're trying to figure out their way through a process, and
Yeah, she's got the finger on the pulse of
yeah,
town meeting day and
yeah.
navigating it. Thanks so much.
And it was
Alright.
interesting to think about how many towns are doing this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting too.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, Gabe.
thank you.
So let's continue with updates.
So I did tell you about the Old Red Mill. We are kind of waiting in
Yeah.
limbo for hopefully early June that they'll be able to remove the rest of the rocks. We also have another worker, highway worker, starting June 3rd.
Yay.
So we will be, his name's Jim Kilpeck.
Number 6 to fill it in.
And, oh yeah, so that's 6 and that's full, that's a full staff?
Full staff.
Okay.
And now in July, you have to start, or June or July, you start advertising again to make
Right,
sure you
'cause-
got one to replace Roger.
Yep.
Oh, right,
Right.
because September, October-ish?
Yeah, it's around September, October is
Okay.
when he's.
Full for a little bit.
Yes. Um,
I keep thinking we should just hire 7 for the summer and, just.
right.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
I will keep looking. I will keep looking and seeing if we have anybody.
That way he's in place before Roger leaves.
Right, and he's up to date and speed on the roads
Yeah.
before winter.
Yeah.
The radar signs on Skunk Hollow, we touched a little bit about that before the meeting that,
Say it again because
yeah,
I think
so.
people need to know this.
I went down there today and they're not working and they look like someone unplugged them or removed the battery. So I contacted Jacob and he was gonna go over and take a look, and I hope that that's not the case, that those batteries didn't get taken. We do have 2 others that we can put around town, so if we know of places that we wanna put these, we can certainly put them up. The
Did we ever
ones,
follow through with Omar?
I was wondering that same exact
With
thing.
who?
what's that?
Omar,
Syed.
Syed,
Yeah, because
He
he
had
kept
commented-
asking John all the time to put a sign on
In
off the
Starboard.
path. I think
He's
Starboard.
like- he's in Starboard.
He lives in Starboard.
Yeah, he's in,
because there are people that zoom through there, or he thinks it's, could be a lot of the.
okay,
The delivery
travel.
truck.
we can
delivery
definitely put
trucks.
one in there.
But he kept asking us and we said, well, these are on order and then, and.
But I thought that was before we ordered them though. I thought we were gonna borrow one for that, I think.
But I don't know if
But
we
I don't
ever
know if we
did.
ever did or
I
not.
think we did. It was like the one that you were thinking, the trailer one
Yeah.
way. So I
That's
think
what I
we
thought
did
these
put it
were.
in, but we can put that there,
Just-
that,
So
yeah,
we did have one in there in Starboard.
yeah, trailer, the
I
I
sheriff,
think, I
yeah.
think we did
yeah.
actually do it.
For a period of
time.
Yeah.
But let's
But if he-
follow up just to see, see if people are still sleeping.
I did have a meeting with East Coast Signals. He did come in, he met with me, and I'm just waiting for the contract to see what their prices are. I did tell him about a few things that we need to tend to right away, is the crosswalk by the market. And he actually checked the one by the school here and found that one wasn't working, and he fixed it. Just
Right here.
fixed it right away.
Right.
Yep, yep.
Whoa.
Yeah, he just fixed it. He was really great. He was a
Well,
really
that's
great
so
guy.
nice.
So if he's got a moment, he is gonna come back, and he believes he can get those 2 at the market working. So,
Did he have comments on the center ones and why they're just that, did he have thoughts on that?
funny
At
you
the- At
ask.
Jericho Center? Where
So
are they?
they're on
What's
each
the-
side of the
I'm
center.
I'm never out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're on each side of the center before you go into the center.
I thought you meant crosswalk. You mean the. you
Yeah,
mean
no,
the
Jericho
Speed
Center.
signs. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, Yep, yep.
So, yes, I did tell him about those and he was gonna check them. But in the meantime, I got a call today He actually sent me an email and I hadn't gotten back to him, but Eric Shepherd, who is the lieutenant for Williston, he lives in Jericho
Yeah,
and
I thought
he
he did.
does their radar signs in Williston. He's willing to come out because he works with All Traffic Solutions. He said he'd stop by one night on his way home, check those signs in the center, contact All Traffic, find out why they're not working.
That'd be
So
good.
he's gonna do that.
Just like as a helpful
And all
citizen.
Yeah.
traffic we bought it from.
Great,
Yes,
great.
yeah,
It'd be
Almost
nice to
got
find
today,
out because we should have some kind of guarantee of why they don't
Right.
work.
Yeah.
yeah, I've
Like
been
we
emailing
bought
him. Yeah, right. Yeah, so he's gonna take a look at those just to get him, try to figure out if he can get them up and running, and that would be great.
Imagine if it was one of the road trucks. Yeah, I mean, we bought it.
Right,
Right.
right, exactly.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, wheels don't turn, it
Here's
turns
the other
out.
one.
Yeah, wheels are all bound up. I've
Um,
had rims, I guess not.
uh, and the next thing that I have is we got, the town purchased a kiosk that is up at the Jericho Town Library. And I had been working with Catherine Bass, if that would work with her. She checked with the board and they're pleased to have one there. So the guys went and did that last week.
And the kiosk is for the postings for.
Yeah, for
like
all of the agendas for Jericho, you know, that we post around here, but Jericho Center, we used to post at the store, but
Right.
we no longer can. So we have that over there. Catherine's gonna use one side and we're gonna use the other, so
Okay.
we can post all of the agendas over there. I'm just waiting for the highway guys to just confirm that it's set, because they set it in cement and everything. So they're just waiting for their
That's
confirmation, but it should be done, but just waiting for it. Just, I'm sure Monday it'll be good. Yes, so we can start posting agendas over
Yeah.
there.
I just had a thought. You probably have already had this thought, but would that save you a ton of time if you can just email them to her and then she could print them and go post them? Is that what you had in mind?
That's what I had in mind.
Okay. You probably
Eric-
already thought of that.
Is what I had in mind, but that's a good one.
Yeah,
If I can take credit for it,
Yes,
it's
I will.
absolutely what I had in mind.
right?
Definitely
Because you're
what I
driving-
had
you're
in mind.
driving a lot,
Yeah.
So you might, well, just, I assume she get a printer and.
Yep,
she can-
absolutely. And just a heads up, the RFP that we put out for a second time is Monday at 5 o'clock. So for the
Oh,
maintenance
for the
facility for the
And when did-
project
is
manager.
that up now
Okay.
already? Is it posted? Is it,
It's been out there.
And it's
Yep,
gotten
we
any-
did another 2 weeks.
do we have any more?
And I can't remember, now, did we ask for architecture and all that kind of stuff, or can we just go out and, find, like, it has been suggested by other folks that just use an engineering firm, which is a lot easier, and then we can do with some,
Yeah, I don't
do
know.
a steel building with, and then put some icing on it. I mean,
That I'm not sure of. So,
I mean, that could save money even,
mm,
I mean, it's. But because, of course, if Ascent is. Ascent
mhm.
is the only one that's doing it. Then, we certainly can work with him and say, hey, there's these, these firms that do, steel buildings that are insulated. Why don't we look at bids from these guys and, get an engineering firm, put it together.
Yeah, I can
Because
definitely
they
check
would do
with
the
him.
permit, and stuff like that.
Yep.
I
And
mean,
I
if
think,
we save money, then there's a little bit of money that you can use from bonding for something else.
right, I think that is all that I have for this.
I have one update, well, sort of one update. So JCDC meeting is a week from tonight, a week from tonight. We have a candidate to interview who can't come to that meeting, so I don't know if I'm gonna have to. I think I'll try to do like a special meeting, I guess, to try to, because Joe Flynn is interested, and so I
Oh,
have
wow.
to.
He's the
bring-
candidate who.
Sure.
Who can't make it that
He
night.
can't, he turns out he can't make
Yeah, yeah,
that
but he's the
meeting,
guy,
so
okay,
I
great.
don't wanna wait a whole nother month, so
Right.
I'll figure
Yeah.
something out and maybe we'll do a quick little meeting or a Zoom meeting or something. But in preparation for that, I have finally, I got an estimate on a rough estimate on what it would take to rehab to Railroad Circle.
Ooh,
So I just reached out to somebody that I knew that does estimating for a living. He owns a restoration company, so like he goes in when there's a flood or fire and does that. So he's literally the estimator that he does that. So he went through the house with me, and he did send me the estimate. I'm trying to pull up the rough thing. So I'm gonna talk about it at the JCDC meeting. I didn't ask permission before I went and did this. He does. I'd like to pay, I don't expect that we're gonna hire his company to do the work, so I kind of said, send me a bill for the estimate. He said he normally gets around $500. I wasn't sure how to handle that. I know it's certainly not above, it's well below what we need to get bids for, but I haven't really ever gone and just spent town money like that, so I don't know the right way to go about
Dr. Paula.
getting him paid. Do I just work with Paula and get him paid, or do I run it by you guys, or?
You did not check with me first?
I did not.
Sorry.
No.
I think you did.
No, I'm glad you
won't
did
get-
this.
If he won't get paid, if he doesn't get paid for it, he was willing to roll.
Yeah,
it.
no,
But no, you just
definitely.
talk to Paula when
Yep,
it's that,
yep.
Okay.
that number.
Okay, so since I had the update, let me see if I can
Yeah, let's,
get so what we did, again. There's a lot of options that could be done to rehabbing this. He kind of went on the high end of just assuming everything needs to be done. We could certainly pick and choose some things.
Let something slide.
I don't see a great breakdown to be able to say, oh, like, all right, if we left that
We
floor.
left
that
the
would
floor
knock
as
off.
it is, we could.
Unless I'm not reading
you're
it right or
volunteer
something,
worker and then blah, 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 blah.
but it came up to, I'll just find it so I can read you the exact number instead of guessing. It was kind of hard to find. There it is. $273,000. In rehab.
And that's on the high end and that's like
Doing
going through,
everything.
yeah,
Like he.
Right.
A really nice house.
I
Right.
can share this. It's, it's most of the floors, it's demoing
Well, that's
most of the walls, it's rewiring most of the walls. Not all of that, maybe not all of that needs to be done, right? He's
Hmm,
not like.
sure, he
ripping
doesn't,
things
yeah,
apart.
you won't know until you get in there.
So there's a lot of leeway in there, but it was good for me at least to just have a number to
Yeah.
start thinking about. I don't know what the right thing to do there is, but I thought having this would be a way to
Mhm.
start thinking
I
about it.
wonder if it could be turned into a duplex.
I didn't think to ask him that, but that probably would have been a good question to ask him. It's a 1-bathroom house now. The
So you're
bathroom-
gonna do a lot of
The
plumbing
the
anyway.
bathroom needs to be completely redone. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, to have the size,
So,
of it, you know,
I don't
and
know.
have.
Does
to-
this have to, does this also include like the septic and stuff, or is that like something separate, or is the septic okay over there? or-
there was a
I don't really
report
know.
that something's up with the septic. I don't know what that something is. This does not include that. That's a
Okay.
good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it'd be nice to see. if we
They
could
have a
some-
permitted septic that may or may
Right,
not be.
right,
taken.
right,
I don't know
right.
the answer to that.
Yeah.
Question marks.
For that kind of money, and I've never even put an eye on, it, but I did look at the place, but I'm not talking about like. Is there,
That
should
seems
we,
like
should we,
really nice.
should we plow it under?
So we've had a
Someone said that.
lot of feedback
Mhm.
from the neighbors.
Yep.
That are really hoping that that's not what we do.
Okay.
So that's part of then the JCDC is getting a lot of input from the concerned neighbors around that property of what's gonna happen to it. We're going slow. I'm sure they will be there next.
Do you know
next
why
week.
they, and when I, just to be clear, I'm saying like tear it down and build a brand new. Maybe smaller, tighter, better insulated duplex that still looks nice and isn't like a whatever. Like, is
Yeah.
that, they want that, whatever, so.
I think they like the character of that building, and. I don't want to speak for them, but I think that would be.
That would
I don't
be-
think that would be their first choice, but who knows? It depends on how it looks, and how it feels or whatever. It's probably, I mean, building, I don't have a good understanding of building costs, but it's probably. A lot of money to do what you're saying too, right? Like there's no,
More than 278, but I'm
yeah.
I'm
But
wondering,
actually-
I'm wondering if, oh, well, for 378, could we get a much better, well-constructed house
Duplex.
that fits a duplex that moves us towards our goals for a little more money, but we end up with a better situation?
Well, in fact, if you did do a demo of that area of that place, and you're gonna use like Habitat for the, because Habitat doesn't
Yeah.
do,
Doesn't do
Rehab.
rehab.
then that gives them an opportunity to maybe do another duplex.
Yeah, well, anyway, it gives us a
You wanna-
starting point,
And that
start,
fun- and there's
start
plenty
to
of
help
thinking and-
educate some of those decisions.
And
that-
yeah, and there's funding for this kind of things.
Yeah.
Where there isn't so much for, there could be money for rehabbing an old house if it was turned into a duplex.
Yeah.
But not just fixing up a house that's gonna cost somebody.
Yeah.
a big chunk of
Honestly, one of
change.
the things that I'm thinking of is splitting it off with as small a lot as you can with that building. And keep retaining the land to still develop as we had planned and just selling this back on the open market to get some of our
Mhm.
return back. I still thought having this number would be helpful, right?
Right.
Like, I don't know, maybe it's
Definitely.
worth putting that into it and then doing what I said. Or maybe it's just good knowing that,
That's what
having
you're
an
gonna,
understanding of this and then going to do
Mhm.
that. So to me, this was just a piece of information to help
Yeah,
fill
for
in some of the
sure.
blanks of all the different options that we have.
Yeah, I mean, because there's a lot of ways it could be used, not just getting it, but. And you do get certain amount of your money back as the people get into their Habitat homes.
Yeah.
Because the church is gonna get paid back for what they're putting.
Yeah, I mean, the other option is we do it, we hire someone, or we put this out to bid, we fix it up.
Mhm.
And then I think we could probably then partner directly with CHT and get it into that program.
Right,
Like you
exactly,
said, we get some of our money back, hopefully at least all our construction costs.
Right.
Maybe a little more, I don't know,
yeah.
maybe not, I don't
But
know.
it's true, because that would be a nice family home then, if you had 2 bedrooms and 3, two baths, 3 bedroom kind of home, it's a real family home then.
Yeah.
And Champlain Housing Trust, I mean, that's a great idea too, because young family can move in there, and then you have duplexes or townhouses in the other part of the property. That's great, that's terrific, at least there's. a
thanks for
number.
doing that, Eric.
Yeah, so I'll send you
At least it
over.
gets the ball rolling on
Yeah, exactly,
something.
right, yep.
Yeah, and gives.
Like I said, I don't know what the right answer is to do there, but I thought the more of these blanks we can fill in,
Right,
the better, so.
yeah, I mean, that's an important thing.
I think that's the only update I have, that I can,
Do you have one?
I do.
Okay,
Dude,
I think I'm good.
Okay, so my work life is spinning out of control right now. And so I actively avoided doing some schoolwork by, I'm just gonna dump down like I have all these select board thoughts, like what does this mean and what's that and what's that? And so I started like the wastewater thing. I was like, wait, when did this, like, who asked for the wastewater report?
I was
And
right
how-
there with you.
How did we get?
Like, where did this originate?
Right, and a
from?
little bit of kind of what Chuck was talking about, like, wait, who asked for this and who's, when it gets done, who's gonna like. And then I went through like my notebook and I was like, okay, and I started like taking all my things and I ended up in this huge, and this feels like dramatic, but. This was just,
Okay, wait, you're not, hang on.
I'm resigning, but I've had enough. This was just like, I just started like listing off
Mhm.
questions and things, and then I was like, I'm gonna try and categorize this and.
Yep.
sure.
And then it ended with a big dramatic statement at the end. So
Should we go with that?
so if you want to just look through it, I'm happy to talk about it, and I'm not asking for anything. That's not true. I guess I am asking.
What if because we have to look at the priority list that Paul had put out, and it turns out we can't do it, via the Google spreadsheet. Could we do
Yes, I'm gonna
this?
send it to you.
Could we do this at the same time? Because I think it goes along with some of the stuff that the Google spreadsheet did.
What's the Google spreadsheet?
You must have not got it. Sometimes it goes to your, goes to like a different thing.
When did it go out?
I can tell by the look on your face that you didn't get it.
When did it go out?
I don't know.
I was in
couple weeks
London.
A
ago?
couple weeks ago. Oh, and it took me forever to get into there.
Oh,
Let me
sorry.
see. If I got it, I would have had it
Oh,
in my
'cause
drive.
Mike hates Google.
Oh, yes, they do.
No,
Yeah,
that's
they
not
do.
true. Here's a map right here, playing with Google.
I could do some Google, but it doesn't like,
Oh, is it project priorities?
Yes,
and see, we can't
Okay.
we can't do that via electronic.
We can't do it
Right,
without being at a
yes.
warned meeting.
yep.
So we could do a warm workshop meeting and talk about, because I think some of these things are going to be on there.
Yeah, they are for sure. Absolutely.
And I could talk about some of the history and I'll
Yep.
you know?
So yes, that makes total sense. Sort of where my thinking kind of landed was, oh crap, I didn't bring that. I went back and I asked Paul to send me 3 years of board agendas, not minutes, 3 years of board agendas. And I listed off the topics of, I lined it up so like January was always in the same row and listed off every agenda item for 3 years.
Oh my God.
It wasn't, it actually only took like half an hour, but whatever. So, and then kind of went through and tried to categorize them. Like one category was appointments, like appointing people to different things. One category was highway department, one category was budget. And what I came away with was this sense that, I think it's on here. Oh, in the middle of the back page, it says agenda analysis in quotes, which is an overblown descriptor. But just sort of the question I came up with, how do we increase the impact of the select board? What agenda items can be handled by the town administrator? What do we want to accomplish? It feels like, and this is admittedly after only 2 very busy months, we're always reacting to things that are brought to us. Like I opened the email from John or from Paula, and it's like, okay, what's it going to be? Oh, look, only 4 items. Like this will be a quick meeting, and I have no sense of what's going to be coming up and what.
Yep.
And then we're always sort of in this reactive, okay, we need to vote on this thing to move it forward.
Yep.
And not to be like horny or whatever, but like, I want to be on the select board because I want to accomplish some things for the town. And it feels like the current structure, there's no way for the 3 of us to like talk about ideas and not like philosophically, but just like, what are some things we want to do? And that's like here, I put down at the very bottom, like things that are important to me are traffic calming and improving walking and bikeability, affordable housing through zoning changes and public-private partnership, and infrastructure. Those are like 3 things that are important to me. And in my brain, there's no time to like talk about those things in a sort of planful, okay, let's look at the next 6 months, like Railroad Circle. You did something, which is awesome because it did something. But like in the next 6 months, what do we want to do with Railroad Circle? Let's set a goal that 2 years from now, we want to be doing whatever with Railroad Circle or and just having more of like a 10,000 foot view of things.
I mean, so I like where you're going.
And so my thought was like, this is not a conversation for 8 o'clock on a Tuesday.
No.
And like, if there's a time that we can get together for a day and sort of like this.
I like the retreat idea. We've done a couple of those and it's been good.
Yeah, so we just need to Google it and then we're good. I imagine we'll still have
Google
an
it.
executive. Yeah. Doodle poll
Do
it.
we?
That's what I want.
Oh.
Doodle it.
Just tell me when.
Oh, yeah.
How about June 18th?
Did you just pull that one
No, I
up,
looked
or-
at my calendar is out of control. The first
my
possible date I
God.
could do it would be June 18th,
Oh, my word.
which is a random school day I can skip.
June
as long as
18th
I-
is a
But you are starting to sound
Tuesday.
like a government.
As
We
long-
need to take some action. now.
Yeah.
How about in 5 weeks? Yeah, okay.
I literally was like, no, not that day, not that, not
We have
that.
nothing on June 18th.
Nothing on
Not a
June
bad
18th?
time to
I don't
do
know how
it.
that's possible, though.
Yeah.
June's not a bad time to actually think about a retreat sometime during the.
It's like you're thinking like an evening.
You are so, look at, you got a paper calendar.
Yeah, like it makes.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't get, that never change.
My daughter graduates 8th grade the day before that.
Well, I was thinking maybe like towards the latter, the school will be out that last week of June. And then that way you get set up for going into July, which is the new fiscal year.
So do we want to look at the 18th? Does the 18th work?
I mean, I named it, that's why I named it. And I'm talking about a date, like a day, like that's, I'm skipping
Yes.
school that day.
Yep.
Well,
Does that work for you?
but you just said you had, you're gonna,
No, there's-
No, he said he
Oh my
doesn't.
God, it's open. How does that happen?
Yeah, it's open,
Something's up.
as far as I know.
I think it's open for me too. I mean, I haven't filled out June, but with my standing, I got a bunch of standing stuff that
Retreat?
retreat,
Okay.
select board retreat.
Retreats generally have,
I know.
thank you.
Have what? Food?
Yeah.
Food? Yep.
but it's a board retreat. So
It's
it's
warned, but it's not, it's,
not,
I suppose, I forget how it works. Is public allowed in, but aren't allowed to talk, but it's generally, it's like a working meeting. It's like our budget meetings.
right.
Our earlier budget meetings
Wait
where
a
we're
minute,
like, just trying to.
retreats don't, do they?
If we're meeting, it's a warm
Anytime
meeting.
that
Three
more
of us
than
in a
two of
room.
us are in the room, I mean,
Oh.
as long as two are, it's
Okay.
all warned. Workshops
Yep.
and are all.
Yeah, I
warned.
got those, yeah.
But
I thought a
well,
retreat
they
was
actually
different.
did that. I mean, I one time talked to Elaine on from Essex Junction. Because I said, well, how in the world would you have your merger meetings, since you had both city council, town councils there? And she said, we just warned it as a,
Mhm.
a working session or, a retreat. But she said, only one person ever came.
Right.
And then they let her speak for a few minutes and then she left.
All right,
Yeah.
so everybody mark your calendars,
Wow.
June 18th. I can't believe
Can't
Peter
believe
just did
worked.
that
Can't
off.
believe that worked.
I know.
I can't believe you said we need to start taking some action.
Yeah.
Let's throw that a date
Keep
over a month
going.
away. A month from the day after tomorrow.
You should see my life is completely out of control. I have a race. I just go.
Oh,
But no, it's true. These are thoughts that I've had
We all
also, like,
had.
Yeah.
like there's some important stuff that we never get to because our meetings are so long dealing with the
Yes.
business of the town,
Yep.
and that's part of it, right?
Yeah.
That is part of why we're here,
Right.
but so
Yeah.
I think we're in a good spot to,
mm-hmm.
And then we can prioritize and things move, and
Yeah.
we'll actually have things decided by then as well.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to really, I think that's.
Oh, in terms of town administrator and right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Everything's,
We'll hopefully be settled and,
yeah, we'll be moving on. I think it's terrific.
okay, great.
Okay,
Retreat.
so now did you sign the warrants all?
All right,
Does
I
this need to
have,
be like,
I always sign
does
for
this need to be put into the public record or anything? So I'm giving you guys a document in public, is that?
no,
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
this is just information.
Yeah.
that's
Just,
for us.
just my thoughts.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
like,
No, if
I brought
you-
extras in case someone was here and I had to
If
like
you-
give it out legally or
if
whatever.
you
I love
had
it.
this and said it's gonna cost us $15,000
Right.
to meet,
Right, yeah.
then,
Then
yeah,
it's
that,
different. Then,
yeah, that's
yeah.
very different.
Yeah.
I do have some updates that are, kind of long-winded, but
Oh, boy.
But they're
Wait a
kinda
minute,
cool.
that whole paper?
yeah, I mean,
that's, yeah, she always has that. And it's all written, it's all written in cursive.
I
Do
know.
you remember that?
It's just crazy. Okay, go.
see, it really is short if you typed it.
Yeah, it'd be like this.
But that's how I learned.
It worked, tactile learning.
That's my learning style.
Yep.
Anyway, this goes along with the speed issues. This is fascinating. It's all from my last couple RPC meetings
Hmm.
and some of the subcommittees. But there's a speed countermeasure toolbox project that's from the UVM Transportation Research Center and with V-Trans. It is designed to provide resources and guidance to communities to help select and implement speeding countermeasures that both are effective and appropriate for your needs for the community. It's of the size of the community. And if the intent is not, and they said, the intent is not to reduce the speeds because they found out that that's not
Right,
that effective.
right.
Or does it support enforcement efforts? Because again, that's,
So what's the intent?
Sounds great.
it showcases, what it does is showcase methods to help with better compliance of current posted speed limits. There's the specific information on 15 countermeasures offered as a PDF with active links to access additional information. And it has a link for you to go to, which I wrote down, but it's actually a toolbox with these different countermeasures. And what it does, and people, they did discuss, what if you set, speed limits lower than 85%, and they found it
Doesn't do anything.
doesn't really do much,
Mhm,
mixed results.
mhm.
And if you take, and some people said, oh, yeah, there's these techniques where you take away the center line. And they said, no, the federal government doesn't like that. And
I
it-
don't think I would either.
And it could impact your funding.
Oh,
But I thought, we certainly could look at it. and I'll send you the
And
link.
taking away
Okay.
center lines?
No,
Oh,
no.
at the recommendations or whatever.
Yeah, the 15 countermeasures.
So these are all about reducing speed.
Speed.
They're they're not about reducing speed limits.
Right.
Okay, I thought you said they're not about reducing speed at the outset.
It is reducing, it helps people reduce speed.
Okay, okay. Earlier you said this is not about reducing speed,
Limits, yeah.
speed limits.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I got you,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys
the-
better
you
get
know,
up here.
The intent, this is where you got the speed. The intent is not to reduce your posted speed,
Right.
Oh.
Right, right,
okay.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
because it just, it's not that.
Doesn't do much.
And then there is June 14th is the deadline for submitting any grant applications this year for V-Trans's Bike and Ped program. And they have a nice chunk of money for infrastructure to improve access and safety for bike and pedestrians.
So
I didn't know
VTran,
if we were doing anything this year or not.
well, I didn't get anything, so can you send me that link? Because I'll submit it for the lights.
Yeah,
I'm gonna keep fighting for it.
yeah, that's right. Here's another one. State funding is available using ARPA funds for 3-acre stormwater permits and device phase, but not construction.
Can you say that again, the whole thing? I missed part of that.
All right, I'm trying to get through it as fast as I can. You
Just-
talked about how
just
long.
don't.
I don't know, you're doing a
Go.
great job. doing a
Keep
great job.
going.
No, there is now state funding available using state ARPA money for the 3-acre stormwater permits and
Oh.
design phases. Because we have that other one that we have to look at, and it,
Can you send me that too?
and it's not construction, but the applications, you got plenty of time for that on September 30th.
Yeah, if you can send me that information too,
Okay.
that would be great. Because we are dealing with a couple of them.
Yeah. And then I went to the Select Board Essentials webinar the other day.
I did too. Well, I was on webinar.
Yeah, I webinared,
Yep.
but
That's what Eric and I went to, right?
I was telling Paula, I don't know if it's different.
Yeah, I
because
think it's
because it
different.
was- They did it for like small towns and I got a bunch of ads for it, but I'm like, I just. went
That's,
to
that's,
this-
I deleted them too for the same reason. I was like, I
Yeah.
just did it.
that's this was a new thing that they were trying.
Yeah.
And going actually to different communities. You did the overall ones that you went to.
Yeah,
This was a little more for smaller municipalities.
yeah,
And
okay, cool.
I didn't want to drive to Milton, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
So I did webinar.
Yep.
But the important, I wanted it as a refresher because they were talking about, the open meeting law, conflict of interest, all those, plus the usual essentials, but yes, I did take notes. Actually, it's 3 pages of notes I did take from the webinar. The updates, but the interesting thing we're gonna have to pay attention to, and even VLCT is not ready for this. They said it's gonna take them a while to do it, but everybody's waiting for Governor Scott
Mhm.
to, is he going to sign?
Sign or not sign.
Not sign?
Mhm.
That Act
Because-
50 thing.
No, that's another ball of wax. This has to do with open meeting law.
Mhm.
The one,
Because-
so I saw the one that that VLCT released where are people thinking he's gonna veto that?
He may. Nobody knows.
The hybrid one, the one that allows hybrid, why would he veto that?
Well, they think they came up with a compromise for the really smaller towns. But what it is yes, it's hybrid, but it means that your bike ped, Jet Force, which continues to do it because it's its own entity, because it's a more of a community committee rather than a strictly town committee. But all those committees that are advisory committees will no longer have to meet in person if they don't want to, period.
Yeah.
The only ones that have to do hybrid are the deliberative ones. And
Is that us?
that's us, legislative, deliberative, things like that, which means we would, and we already are. But they didn't quite say what I wanted them to say, even though I kept asking people to do this, is to allow us to go full remote, to have a meeting if weather was bad.
Mhm.
They do have,
It says hazards.
they have it. I'm
They
telling
have
you, it's in there, I read it.
Yeah, it's a fun, and that's not the full bill. But
I know, true, but their thing that they sent out
When was that? Yesterday, today?
this week.
No, because I'd already been there. Because it was Tuesday. They talked about it, but it's, it has to do that you can not have to have somebody in a physical space if there's a hazard. Now, the
Mm.
question is, does that mean?
Right.
Yeah,
And see,
Right,
nobody, so VLCT says it's gonna take them a while to actually, after Governor Scott signs it. Assuming he signs it, to actually put it on their website and get it cleaned up. The other interesting part has to do with the conflict interest policies, because that's really gonna upend everybody's conflict of interest, because theirs will take precedence over even some of those with charters,
Mhm.
depending on what is in your charter.
mhm,
But as VLCT said, they didn't follow all of the things that they actually asked as well, because it's a mandate from the state, and it is a mandate. But the state doesn't provide any
mhm.
enforcement.
I got you. Now I'm reading it and I understand what you're saying now. So you're saying. So after July 1st, municipal advisory bodies will retain the ability to meet virtually or in person. Or hybrid, but non-advisory bodies,
Right.
legislative, but it quasi, like, where that?
That's us,
So,
right.
That's the DRB.
We're not just some people who got together and said, oh, we'll give you our, we'll talk about stuff and give the deciders our ideas. We're the deciders.
Right. A decider, and that includes the planning commission, because the planning commission also has its own,
Has power
has
to
power.
do something.
yeah,
yeah.
and I wanted to be able
What
to,
about executive session? We have to go into an executive session. Would we not be able to? We'd have to come here? Or one of us would at least would have to be here?
if you,
Maybe for a hybrid only?
So if it
I mean,
says you
for-
can't be fully remote,
yeah. I know, that's a real issue.
yeah. Interesting, all right.
Oh,
I read, I read
But-
that.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, so conflict of interest, but they suggest that, you look at Shelburne's, conflict of interest, because that's sort of, in Chittenden County, one of the better ones, that looks like it will survive what the state ethics bill does.
Yeah, I read that one.
Most others are going to, end up having to be changed, because they said, it's very possible that even those with charters that have recalls may, the state may take precedence over that, even see a stronger enforcement.
Hmm.
So nobody knows right now, so they're gonna have to be doing their legal stuff to do on that. So, but that's it, but, so, and then we got the usual stuff coming up for art and all that other stuff, but anyway. So we can approve the warrants and approve the minutes then.
I signed the warrants.
I'll
I
sign,
did not get a chance to review the minutes this time, to be honest with you, but I can review them. Do you have updates?
yeah, I do, I just have I'll sign this first and pass one on anyway, and get it started. All right, I only have a couple very minor technical ones, both of them are fairly technical. Although one might could say that this is important. We start with the, right under May 2nd, 2024 at 6:30 PM for me. It says remote meeting.
No.
We were not remote because we have remote attendees, but we had also in-person people.
Right.
We were
That's
hybrid.
weird that it's here.
We were a hybrid meeting, and then 183 and 184 is really simply technical. It's this, the spacing went really weird.
Oh, yeah.
Where?
Because you got 183 has the word town capitalized,
Oh,
There's a
and then 184 starts with Hall Art.
carriage return after that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then 220, I have a question mark. Because it talks about East Coast signals. I don't think they do streetlights. Because
yes, they do.
oh, they do.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, they do. He's gonna give us a quote on streetlights.
Oh, our own ones that we own.
Our own, yes, I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah. 'cause I was gonna
Exactly.
say- 'cause I was
Sorry,
gonna say-
not,
Cause I was
yes.
gonna say, the utility companies. own a
Nope,
bunch of-
just the town-owned streetlights.
Yeah, let's put that in to be
Yep.
clear then. So that's what I got.
Motion to accept the minutes as amended.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
I have one quick topic, hopefully, for executive session.
Okay,
And do we need to just,
we should,
no, that's never.
there's probably a couple little odds and ends that we can.
Okay.
Mention.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session for reasons of personnel and legal because premature disclosure of information will be detrimental to the parties involved.
Second.
All those in
And,
favor,
and to invite Paula.
Thank you, everybody.
all those in favor say aye.
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 Good night.
Good
Good
night. all.
night.